Deputy McDonald, please.
Thank you.
It is.
Next Wednesday, the INMO will commence industrial action. The PNA are to follow in February, and the government sits on its hands. Ceann Comhairle, last April, Sinn Féin introduced a motion to the Dáil. This motion was unanimously agreed, but government have refused to implement it. That motion called on your government, Taoiseach, to work with unions to draw up a roadmap to full pay equality, with an implementation plan to deliver pay equality within a short time frame, not the 8 years that you had in mind. And yet, here we find ourselves now at the 11th hour, Taoiseach. Letters are going out now informing patients of cancelled surgeries. It's clear that you have failed comprehensively to tackle the recruitment and retention crisis. You refuse to accept that pay is an issue, that this issue needs to be resolved. So, Ceann Comhairle, I want to ask the Taoiseach on his behalf and for the Minister for Health to come before the Dáil and to explain to us, the members of the Oireachtas who voted last April and set out a series of reasonable, thoughtful steps that the government might take. Can we have an explanation as to why you have ignored that motion of the Dáil and why you have allowed now this situation to escalate to the point that we're facing into industrial action?
As it affects matters in relation to public pay, and if I deal with each of the contentions the Deputy has made in turn. Firstly, Deputy McDonald contends that the government has sat on its hands in relation to this issue. Of course, as the Deputy will be aware, we had a commitment under the current pay agreement to put in place the Public Service Pay Commission. We honoured that commitment. There was a commitment in place that this would be the first issue that the Pay Commission would look at. That's what happened. The Pay Commission then issued a recommendation, which the government accepted immediately and in the next number of days, and we made a specific commitment in our budget to honour those commitments. Since then, an extensive engagement has taken place between the HSE and the representatives of the nurses. That now matter is very likely to be referred to further engagement in our industrial relations machinery, which the government will play its full role in. But what we have to be conscious of is all of the other public servants, the tens of thousands of public servants that we've made commitments to as well. We have a duty to them, just as we have a duty to look to try to resolve this issue. The final point the Deputy made is in relation to the efforts that we made to deal with the issue of new entrant pay and how that matter can be dealt with. We put in place a very comprehensive plan in relation to this, which was accepted by the leaderships of many of the key unions. We are now engaging actively with them to see if there are ways in which this issue can now be resolved.